Thank you for being here. We are, this is part of our Aging Well Lunch and Learn series sponsored by Care Partners of Cook County and Cook County Higher Education. And we're just delighted to have you. A special shout out to those of you who are joining us online via Zoom, and particularly Nancy Gay and the gang at Birch Grove Community Center. Hello. So glad to have you with us. Just want to mention a couple of upcoming events. You've got a bunch of information in front of you, and I wanted to highlight a couple of things coming up from Care Partners. The first is a Saturday, March 25th. We're going to be offering a program, a workshop called Stronger Than You Know. We're talking today about some of the more formal connections that we can make to help us age well. But the reality is that there are also a lot of informal connections that we have, networks that we have available to us to help us age well or achieve any goal that we are trying to achieve. And so we are so excited to have Stacy Remke from the University of Minnesota and our own Julie Wilson, Executive Director of Care Partners, who are going to lead us in a process called eco mapping, which is a way for us to think about some of those connections that we already have that we may kind of take for granted and not think about, and also think about ways that we might strengthen, see where there might be areas where we can work to develop stronger connections that can help us age well or achieve our goals. We're asking for a $20 per participant a fee for that, and that'll cover a light breakfast, all of our materials. And although Stacy is awesome and she is going to donate her time, we would love to be able to thank her by offering a little bit of a reimbursement for her travel expenses. So the $20 will help us be able to do all of that. More information is available on our website, www.carepartnersofcookcounty.org, and on the sheet that you have with you. Also, our next Lunch and Learn will take place on Wednesday, March 22nd. I love February and March because we've got a monthly thing going on. It's always the same day. Isn't that nice? That is a nice thing. So March 22nd from noon to 1 here again at Cook County Higher Ed. We're going to be welcoming our guest presenter, Brenda Schaefer-Pellenin from the Arrowhead Area Agency on Aging, otherwise known as Quad A, which is a whole lot easier to say. And she is going to help us understand a little bit about ageism and how we can begin to internalize some of those negative messages that we sometimes hear about growing older, and how we might be able to start pushing back against that. It's from noon to 1, so it's part of this same series. So noon to 1, we hope that you will join us. We are hoping to have another lunch sponsor. So we are inviting organizations and businesses in the area to be a lunch sponsor for our Aging Well Lunch and Learn series so that we can offer a free lunch for folks. So if your business or organization might be interested in partnering with us in that way, please, by all means, give us a call. Julie would be just super happy to talk to you about how we can make that happen.
Who's doing this one?
This one is thanks to actually an anonymous donor.
Oh, cool.
So, and we hope that you are enjoying your meal, which is from the Hub. So if you've not had a chance to enjoy a senior meal from the Hub, you are now. You've ordered a meal, and so thanks to the Hub also for providing that. I want to give a shout out, thank you to Cook County Higher Ed and especially the amazing Kelsey. And very quickly, our presenters for today, Martina Johnson from Cook County Public Health and Human Services. Can you raise your, there you are, raise your hand. And Laura Nelson, who is here from the in-home support. Hillia Iverson from North Shore Health. Our amazing death doulas, we have Pat Campanero and Jean Steels and Margie Nelson, and Suzanne is not with us. She is not with us today. Okay. And then let's see, I think, and of course from Care Partners, sorry. Our Executive Director, Julie Wilson, and our care coordinator, one of our care coordinators, Betsy gloom. And again, y'all for being here. Thank you very much. And we're hoping to have some time at the end for asking questions. And let us know, give us a shout out if you're having a hard time hearing us. We'll be glad to speak up a little bit or push the microphone closer to our lips. Or speak slower, in my case. All right, I think that is what I have for introduction. And I will turn the mic over to Pat Campanero, one of our amazing deaf doulas.
Thank you very much, and I'm glad to see everyone in person. It is so great to be back in person and seeing all my friends here. You all know me and I do a lot of different things, but I'm here today to represent a company that we formed called the Better Deaf. And it is a part of the end of aging. And there are 4 of us in Cook County, which is amazing, that are trained deaf doulas. And our job is really to help people get ready for the end and plan for that event. We're trained to help at the end of life and through the whole process, but we're also doing a lot of other things that include workshops that you're going to be seeing coming up from with Cook County Higher Ed sponsoring us on perhaps thinking about how you want to present your legacy after you die. We're going to be doing some workshops on caregiving for the caregivers, because every one of us who takes someone through end of life really needs help as well, and a variety of other things. But we really want to just say that one of the things we've been doing for 2 years that has really helped within this community is our deaf cafes. We do a deaf cafe on the 4th Thursday of every month at the Hub at 6:30. It's coming up tomorrow. That is just a place where people who are experiencing grief or experiencing a loved one who's close to end of death can come to a safe place and talk to other people who are involved in the same thing. It's a very, very supportive group, and I really wanted to push that event out to people to let them know that you're not alone. There's a lot of people out here in our community who want to share with us. So it's all about end of life for the deaf doulas. There is material on your table that talks about us, and talks about how to get in touch with us, and we have a Facebook page. So I encourage you all to reach out when you need us.
Just Patrick? Thank you. Thank you, Pat. And what I think I'm going to do is we'll wait till the very end and ask questions, have question time then. So.
Hello, my name is Martina Johnson, and I work at Cook County Public Health and Human Services. I'm the Adult Services and Home Community-Based Services Supervisor. And we have a lot of great services at Cook County Public Health and Human Services. In that handout that was passed around to you is our brochure that details all of the different services that we provide. For the aging population, we have care coordination, which is for our individuals who are on medical assistance and Medicare. And then we also have general adult services, case management. We provide adult protective services, which we will talk about in June in more detail. Today, though, I wanted to talk with you specifically about our MIN Choices assessments, and those are free to anyone who is interested. They are a web-based comprehensive tool that we use to essentially we go and we help people identify support needs, services, or programs that meet those needs and talk with people about how to get connected with services. We can do those assessments really anywhere. So if you want to do it in your home, we have the ability to come out and meet with you in your home. We can also have you come to our office, and we can even still do those assessments over the phone. And we'll talk about, and also you get to choose who you want to have there with you. So you can just have us come and talk with you, or if you want to have family members or friends be a part of that discussion as well, that is just fine. We'll talk about where you live and how you participate in your community, how you like to spend your time and with whom, how you take care of your day-to-day personal needs, how you manage your home and your physical and emotional health, and any challenges, barriers, and concerns you have in doing the things that you like to do. A MIN Choices assessment can help you to better understand your strengths and needs, identify the services and supports that can help you live where you want, identify if you may be eligible for medical assistance, which is an insurance program for people who are lower income, access publicly funded programs such as MA waivers. You might hear people talk about waivers a lot. And those are additional funds from the state to help people pay for services in their home. And mid-choices assessment can help you to learn about and how to help accessing other support options. We're really strong believers in those informal supports that people have in place, and so I'm excited that you're doing the lunch and learn to better develop your pool of people that you have in your life that you might be able to lean on. So after the assessment, a copy of a planning worksheet that outlines the services and supports you may be eligible for is sent to you. And then a written plan that summarizes your care needs and options for services and supports is also sent to you. So you are given the assessor's contact information and open communication with them to talk more about a plan for how to live the life that you want to live. So it's a great service. It's free, like I said, to anyone in the community. And our number, my card is there with the information that was provided. And also you can just call our general public health and human services number at 218-387-3620.
Hi, I am the coordinator for the in-home support program, which is part of Public Health and Human Services. Martina's my boss. And the in-home support program is another nice option for people aging in our community. We can provide support to help you stay in your home and do tasks that maybe have become more difficult. Those can include like transportation to medical appointments, running errands, grocery shopping, things like that, as well as like chore services and homemaking services. And so if you have questions about that program or anything like that, my card is out there and there's a brochure about the program as well. That's all I really have.
Did you want to just mention too, it's anybody, whatever their income level, right?
Yeah. There's a number of different ways the services can be funded. So like the waiver services that Martina talked about a little bit, or we have the sliding fee scale as an option, as well as private pay. So that's something I could talk about more in depth with anybody who's interested as far as what might be the kind of most appropriate way to pay.
Thank you. I'm gonna have you go first and I'll follow up.
My name is Betsy Bloom, and I'm a care coordinator at Care Partners. And our organization has several different arms, but the one that I'm currently focused on is coordinating care for people who have aging family or friends and providing them with resources. We, do have some overlap that we could also provide help with errands and rides and things like that, as the county does. And we get referrals from the clinic, we get referrals from the county. People walk into the office and ask for support around an aging family member or a friend. It doesn't have to be someone who you're supporting 24/7. It could be someone that you're helping live at home a few days a week. And so we have a really great Aging Well resource directory that's online at Cook County, Care Partners of CookCounty.org. Everything from financial resources to legal resources. That's a really good place to start, and you can always call us with questions. The other part, so I help with resources for people who are have chronic health conditions or aging at home. Also, we support caregivers. Taking on that role as a caregiver is a wonderful gift, but it can also be, have other consequences for people. They're not able to maybe socialize with friends or family, or it just, it's a new adventure. So we also support caregivers with providing companion care, someone to come in and visit, read, paint, sing, come into your homes. And we do like an initial assessment to see what the best way is to support you by coming out to your home. And then follow up after that. So, you know, a couple different arms with care consulting and caregiver support.
Betsy's really modest, but she's amazing. She is just fabulous to have on staff. She's been a nurse and has been engaged in the community for a while in different capacities, so has a good working knowledge and relationship with the different systems and even folks here that we're talking with. She's worked in the clinic and in different areas, but we also just hired on Suzanne Sherman at Care Partners. And she is also going to be partnering with Betsy on doing care coordination and caregiver consultation. So super excited about that. If some of you know Suzanne, she's one of the death doulas. So we're just really excited to have her expertise and presence with us too. So reach out. Any of it is just kind of a question mark of what exactly does that look like for me. Don't hesitate to reach out. We love to share it in specific. We really try to be person-centered, and that's really what this eco mapping session that we're going to have in March is really about. Is that you're in the middle of this, the individual person, and kind of looking at your own resources that you have, social connections. So today we're talking about the professional connections that are available in our community, and we're all, sometimes you'll hear things that sound similar. And we collaborate together almost daily on serving the community and individuals. So we work really well together. We're all part of something that's developed called the Aging Coalition, which Christy's going to talk a little bit more about. But I just really encourage you, there's no wrong person to reach out to in this group, right? Everybody here will also help connect you to each other as we try to do what we can to support folks. So just want to encourage you with that when you hear from each of us. Some other things at Care Partners that we also do, that's a gap service, volunteer. It's really exclusively a volunteer service, is the transportation for folks 60 and over. So for any of you, there's two parts to this. If you're looking for opportunities to give back and you want to serve other folks in this way, reach out to us. We're always looking for volunteers. But our volunteer drivers take folks around anywhere around Cook County for any appointment, right? For anything. So if you have something coming up and you're needing a ride, you just contact us and we'll say, let's see if we can connect somebody that can provide that. And then we also do medical rides to Duluth. So we have wonderful volunteers that drive folks for medical appointments to Duluth and back. So isn't that wonderful? Isn't that wonderful? Yes. It's our volunteers in our community. So I just think that's a fabulous service that we do have here. And it wouldn't be possible without the volunteer spirit that exists in this community. And then we also have chores, some services for chores. And again, we work closely together. Ours tend to be more like a gap service. So for example, if you need your gutters cleaned out, it's kind of a once, in the fall or in the spring. You just had surgery and maybe you need a temporary, some assistance with some things in cleaning, etc. More of the long-term ongoing services would go through the county, but we're here to kind of help with those. I need my wood stacked for the winter, or so we try to match you with them with a volunteer that can help with that. Or if you are the volunteer, reach out. We'll just find out what kinds of things you enjoy doing or feel like you have competency in and want to help with. Sometimes it's cleaning windows. Sometimes it's fixing doors or putting the weather stripping around, or just all kinds of different things that come up that are difficult as our abilities change. So, but I would also just reiterate again, I guess lastly, before I pass the mic, It's just, I can't say it enough, really. If whoever you call here will help connect you with each other. We'll all wrap around to see the best fits or resources that are available for you, so.
Hello, I am Talia Iverson, and I am the social worker up at the hospital. So I work in the North Shore Health. I'm the social worker for folks that are in the hospital, and also for the elders that are in our nursing home. I also occasionally, if needed, help out with the home care program if they need some assistance with some of their clients that they're working with in the community. In preparing for this, just what I was going to share with folks, I first of all just want to recognize all the people that are up here. I think we do a really fantastic job of taking care of folks in community, given very, very limited resources that are available in a small rural community. So North Shore Health really tries to be a partner with all of the folks here. Also, most of you probably are connected with the clinic. I want to give a shout out to Grand Portage Human Services, Grand Portage Clinic, the Elder Nutrition Program up there too. So we all are collaborating on a daily basis. I have been out on maternity leave for about 7 weeks, so I want to thank you for being a friendly reentry. I start to dip my toes into going back to work. The few things that I will share just specifically about North Shore Health. What I will say for specific to aging and aging to the topic of aging well in community is the folks that I see do this the best, stay at home the longest, have good outcomes, aren't frequent emergency room kind of visitors, are people that really are proactive in establishing a resource network and say yes to things. So if someone, as you're aging, if someone says, if your doctor says, I really think having home care come out once or twice a month would be a good idea, just to kind of keep an eye on things, say yes. You know, for people that you know, are talking about, I think, you know, maybe some additional following with the county, or maybe do this min-choices assessment, or have you thought about care coordination through care partners, or different things like that. If the folks in your life are suggesting these things to you, say yes. What I often get involved with through my work at the hospital is folks that don't have a plan. And it's really hard because we are so far removed from then the emergency or the more available resources that it often requires people then to move from community. And we all live here because we love it here. We live here because it is God's country. And our family and our friendships and our church communities and all of that is right here. It is really hard for folks as they're going into later stage aging to then be uprooted from that and have to move down into a community that they don't have any connection to, just because, for example, there's a nursing home that has an opening, or there's an assisted living that has an opening. So really, as hard as it is, and most people are like, well, I'm gonna stay at home and I'm gonna die at home, and there's lots of folks here that want to help you reach that goal. The biggest thing that I can say is plan early and don't kick that can down the road when it comes to making plans for yourself. Specific to North Shore Health, we have a lot of services that I think people don't really realize, and they make maybe a lot of unnecessary trips down to Duluth. Or if, for example, if you're having some sort of surgery, or heaven forbid you have a fall and then are, you know, having a hip surgery and then are going into some sort of rehab stay. I can't tell you how many times people are like, Hillia, how come I didn't know I could do my rehab up here? I was at St. Luke's, or I was at Essentia or some other hospital, and they just schlepped me over to a rehab center across town. And I was there for 2 weeks or 6 weeks or whatever it was, and no one told me I could come home and do that. We can do that here. If you need labs, if you need radiology, if you need outpatient therapies, infusions, those kinds of things, chemotherapy, we do a lot of those things. We can't do everything because, of course, there's specialized
things that, you know, we're generalists up here, but I cannot tell you how much I am impressed with our hospital staff in what they're able to provide to help minimize those trips back and forth. Maybe you don't get to do all your chemo up here, but you get to do some of it as an example, and you can avoid some of those trips back and forth. And then when you need to go down there, you can call the lovely folks at Care Partners or the county, and they can help get you to those necessary appointments down the road. So that would be one thing. We just redid our website, and all of our services, I wrote most of the pages for that, are quite descriptive and they're in regular people language. So if you're wondering whether something is available locally as far as your medical care, please go onto that page or just call and ask, and somebody will be able to answer that question for you. Our home care department right now consists of 2 not full-time nurses, but scheduled nurses, and then 1 person that kind of comes on if one of those gals needs a break. I know it can be frustrating for folks that are maybe on the waiting list, or maybe they're trying to kind of triage the help that they are providing, but please don't forget about home care. They do want to get out and see people. Maybe they can't do everything that that a person would like, but they do try and triage the most important things that truly require a nurse in home to do some of those things, like wound care or that kind of thing. So please just keep home care in mind. And then I know there's been a lot of media about specifically the care center, the nursing home. And the availability of the nursing home and whether that is going to continue as a local service in town here. What I hope that I can relate and what I hope you take from here is Kimber Rolstead, our administrator, and all of the staff at North Shore Health, specifically North Shore Living, the care center, are very, very dedicated to doing our utmost best to continue to provide that service locally. It is a complicated situation, but what I can tell you is we did some kind of revamping prior to my going on leave that kind of enabled us to look at things a little bit differently and free up that waiting list and start to resume admissions again. Obviously, admissions is connected to revenue, and revenue is connected to sustainability, and so we are hopeful that this kind of new momentum will carry us forward. What I will also say about the care center is that there is a very healthy waiting list for that. And there is a process in which to get on that waiting list. So if that is something that you're interested for yourself or a family member, please call. Well, in another couple of weeks, it will be me, probably. I'll be sort of back, but there is somebody in the social service office part-time right now that can walk you through how to get on that waiting list. There's an application that we ask, and then also some medical information and that kind of thing. And the last thing, I'll just close up, and I think all the folks on here would echo, is the last thing that I push on everybody, regardless of your age, is if you do not have a healthcare directive, please, 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 please complete a healthcare directive. It is also one of those things we don't like thinking about, and it's hard. You sit down, a lot of people know right what they want, and they can just go down that form and fill it out and sign it, and they kind of check that off of their list. And for others, they sit with that document for a really long time. What I can tell you is some of the most challenging situations are situations where there isn't a healthcare directive. There isn't a clear decision maker. Family is unsure of what an individual wants. There isn't there are goals set out for that individual. So there gets to be a lot of different folks that might be weighing in on decisions, and so for your own peace of mind, but also for your family's peace of mind, please fill those out. Get those completed, hand them out like they're candy at a parade, as far as whoever you think might need to know that information. because I can't tell you how many times I will personally say, what does the healthcare directive say? And if there isn't a healthcare directive, then it gets to be really complicated as you're moving towards that later aging where you may or may not be able to, make your own decisions known to your healthcare team. So that's my little spiel.
And I brought a few healthcare directives on the back table.
Yes, and there are people, I have been through training to help people, you don't need to have somebody help you fill those out. You can go ahead and just fill it out yourself, but there's several folks up here that have helped people fill those out. And also will help get copies for you,
Yes.
you know, for folks that don't have access to a copy machine, or will get them put into your medical record, like at North Shore Health or St. Luke's or wherever else you might do some other specialized care. But that is a huge step in the right direction and something that people look at when people are in that later stage of aging, particularly where you aren't able to communicate your needs as well. So.
What was that website that you're referring to?
That is the North Shore Health website. So it is www.northshorehealthgm, as in Grand Marais, .org.
You work for who?
I work for North Shore Health. And I'm the only social worker up there. So I work across all of the departments.
Thank you so much. I just want to, real quick, among the things that I have done in my life is that I am an ordained elder in the United Methodist Church, and I want to just speak to that healthcare directive. I know, I hear a lot, and I used to hear a lot. Well, I don't need to write it down because I have told my family members what it is that I want. And let me tell you, the difference for the family member between having to make the decision, remembering in their head what you want, and seeing on paper what you want is two very different things. The relief of being able to see that on a piece of paper and knowing for sure in their hearts, everybody agreed, this is what you want. I cannot tell you the gift that is for people. So that I'll get off that soapbox real quick.
It's a good one.
It's a good soapbox. Also, I wanted to mention Chris Botch was going to be with us from the hub. She was not able to be. You've got, I think, at least some information in your packets about the hub. They have all kinds of activities. They have classes. They do, and Nancy helps you in your chair, do your yoga. They have people who can do Tai Chi. They have arts and crafts. They also have, a lot of people don't know, medical equipment lending library through the hub. They don't charge for that. You're welcome to make a donation, but there's no charge for that. They also can help with landline-based life alert systems. So there's somebody else that you can call for that kind of a need as well.
Legal aid.
And yes, legal aid, they have a legal aid kiosk there. So just a minute, I'm going to do this. Hi, my name is Christy John, and I am the care navigator for Aging Well Resources. And Aging Well Resources is an online and by phone way that you can connect with resources for aging in Cook County. We know that there are kind of statewide and regional-wide search engines that you can look at to try to figure out what's available, but sometimes, wow, it's overkill. There's so much information there that may not pertain to us. So following the last community health assessment, there was a need identified for supporting people aging in this community. And there was a group that came out of that, the Aging Coalition, made up of folks, a lot of the folks who are actually here, to help us identify what are the needs. And one of the needs was just figuring out what the heck is here, what are the services that we've got. And so out of that group came the idea for having a one-stop shop, both a website and an actual human being on a phone who could, or actually in person, who could help you know what's available for what here. And so I'm that person. If you call the number that is on the information that I gave to you, you don't get a directory tree. You don't have to push 10 different numbers to get me. and I'll do my best to help you figure out what's out there for you. Or please go to the website, www.agingwellresources.org, and you will find all sorts of interesting information. Yes?
Mention the calendar.
Yes, and it does also include a calendar of events. And you can even filter those events, like look at all the stuff that's going on at West End, or all the stuff that's going on in Grand Portage, or all the stuff that's just going on in general for older adults in our county. And I work hard to keep that up to date. So if you see information there that isn't up to date, please let me know. I won't be insulted. I'll fix it. Or if there's something that you would like to see added, please let me know. I'm glad to look at that as well. I think.
I want to add to that. I once again have to say, modesty, Christy worked really hard to make that tool so useful. But I'm sure all of us have experienced tools that are sort of stagnant, they get developed and then they get lost. And this lady is daily adding to and updating that website. So and particularly that calendar is really, really good. So I would really encourage you to at least get out there so that you know when you're trying to think of things that you think Aging Well Resources. Just really have that, put this on this magnet on your refrigerator, that Aging Well Resources, because there's like, go out there so you at least see how simple it is to use and user friendly. And if not, if there's something you didn't find, there's a little place on the bottom to say, you know, there was something I couldn't find, I want to get feedback. We want to hear about, and of course, there probably will be things that we can't put, that it doesn't exist. But we want to hear about what you were looking for and you couldn't find. So at least it continues to help us to be aware of gaps. It might be that it exists and it just didn't get in there, but the calendar is really, really constantly changing and evolving, and everything pertaining to Aging Well in Cook County is on there, so.
Thank you, Judith.
I'd just like to share one more thing, and I'd like to suggest everyone share this information with their friends. Because I do a lot of this kind of work, and people will say, well, I didn't know about that, and then I'll ask them about why they didn't know about that, or how they get their information, and they say they get their information from their friends. So please talk it up within your organizations, talk it up with your friends, and let them know that all of us exist, and we're here to really help the aging process go on. And finally, at the end, see them through that process as well. So I'd just like to say, share, share, share.
Yeah.
Yeah, share. The other thing I'm hearing and have heard consistently, okay, I don't know about you all, but I can hesitate to ask for help, especially around aging. I can get kind of all or nothing thinking going on in my little head, right? The minute I call somebody to ask for help, what that means is A, I am declaring that I am incapable. Oh, no, thank you. No, thank you. Or B, well, here is the inevitable downward slide that I'm starting, and I don't think I want to do that. Thank you very much. Aging is a team endeavor. I say that over and over and over again. We need each other to make this work, and especially in this community. And I don't know if you guys, wow, we've got such a great group of people here in this community who really, really, really want to help. We won't be, I wish we all had magic fairy wands and could just make it all like super easy. We don't. But we will do our level best. I know each of these people has done things that just make me shake my head. I can't believe that they made it happen. And our volunteers also, some of whom are sitting here, who are amazing. So with that, I am going to open up for questions that you may have. I am going to ask, because we do have people who are on Zoom, if you have a question, and I know nobody likes to talk into a microphone because it feels like, I don't know, karaoke or whatever, but if you could speak into the microphone just so the people who are remote can hear the question, that would be awesome.
Or you could repeat it for them if they're shy.
Right, if you're super shy, I'll do it. So, but Kelsey will. Right here.
Is there a memory care type of program?
Are you speaking for like an actual facility or in general, do all of us up here work with folks with dementia on whatever?
Okay,
Yeah,
it doesn't have to be diagnosed, but is there a memory care program that says, okay, all of a sudden I'm starting to wonder, or my significant other might be having a little trouble. And I just want to know if there's some kind of attended thing that you could say, oh, diagnosed, or just don't worry about it right now.
if you have questions about changes that you're noticing in yourself or with a loved one, the first place I would start is your primary care physician, if you're wanting to get some more information about a diagnosis. As far as all of our programs up here, we all work with folks that have memory impairment. Not necessarily, it doesn't have to be Alzheimer's, there's lots of different forms of memory impairment.
Yes, there are.
So that is not a preventative thing that where we wouldn't work with an individual because they have memory impairment. Everybody up here works with folks that have memory loss. So as far as the there being a specific program solely for memory, I'm not aware of one in the county.
Here's
Do you want to-
Martina.
Oh, when you're done.
Okay, so there's a couple things. First, Care Partners does have
A plug.
the Memory Cafe, which is a meeting the third Thursday of each month from 1 to 2:30 for people who are experiencing memory issues and those who are living with them and caring for them. The primary goal of that is just to be have conversation and casual conversation around those kinds of issues, or just to have a nice time and not worry because, you know, our loved one might say the wrong name, or we might say the wrong name, you know, have one of those memory lapses. Also, I would say that our care coordinators are amazing, and they also have tons of resources available from organizations like the Alzheimer's Association, or, lots of that kind of resourcing that they can do for you. And
Just to add, the Alzheimer's Association is a great resource and they serve our community, and
So are they in our community?
they aren't in our community, but they have an arm or an office in Duluth. And I refer people to them all the time because you don't have to have a diagnosis of Alzheimer's. They serve any type of dementia, and they have some great resources to offer, just day-to-day suggestions for living with a person with dementia. They also used to, I don't think they are currently, but in the past, they have had one of their staff come up and meet with families in the community. I hope that they will do that again in the future, but has been a really valuable resource, so.
yep, thank you. Great question.
There's gotta be some.
Do you have the recent information from the census on how many seniors there are in Cook County and what's the projection and how diverse is that population?
Well, I can say, right now, we're close to, I'm gonna say it's close to 30% right now of 65 and older in Cook County. So we are, certainly one of the, percentage-wise older counties. And that's right now. And of course, we're continuing to age. So that's a pretty significant, number, for sure. And then there was a second part to your,
The diversity of it.
the diversity of it, yeah. I think the diversity, there's certainly, in Cook County, there's not as much diversity as you might see as far as, in some communities, but the diversity, as, I guess I'm saying categorically as how it's seen in the state, is our really isolated rural, is really kind of seen as a population that's really, what's the word I want to use? It's distinct. The issues that are faced in some of our really rural, remote areas in Cook County is a distinction amongst what other people face that are older adults in communities where there's more resources available. So it's really some challenges, but also the really, I also can't emphasize enough, the really beautiful spirit of Cook County in that, in the organic supports that we have in looking out for regions, but in helping one another and coming alongside each other. But does anybody else want to speak to anything else on that?
Do you want to say something about the upcoming Cook County community assessment, health assessment? Because I think that will be an issue that will be brought up and discussed with that, as well as age-friendly.
Yeah, so thank you for that.
You're welcome.
So along those lines, so it is the year that Cook County is doing our community health assessment, starting that process. It was done back in 2017, I believe.
Mhm.
And so it's 5 years have passed. We just started at the end of last year, but really kind of will catch some momentum this year. And then along with that, we have submitted for a age-friendly community grant through the county. And Care Partners has been kind of partnering with that too. And so our Aging Coalition will be involved with that, and Public Health and Human Services Advisory Board. And so we're also hoping to incorporate an age lens on that process this year, to really kind of be able to look at some of those things and identify gaps and goals and things. And that is, of course, where the Aging Coalition came out of doing that 5 years ago. So it is it's something that's on everybody's mind, for sure.
As we wait for more questions, I wonder if you could talk a little bit about partners outside of the region. Like I think about Lighthouse that helps with vision assistance. Is there ones that you guys, off the top of your head, that you think was primary resources not here, but that serve our community really specifically?
Well, thank you, Kelsey. So Kelsey just mentioned briefly the Lighthouse. That is a really great resource, has a lot of they have a lot of things around if there's sight impairment, or they have a lot of, well, I'm not sure I'm the expert on speaking on that, but
I've worked with them.
you want to share a little bit more about that?
The Lighthouse, I can't remember what their name is now. They've had a couple of different names. It used to be the Lighthouse for Vision Services.
Now it's Lighthouse Center for Vital Living.
Lighthouse Center for Vital Living. It used to be the Lighthouse Center for the Blind in Duluth. We have had representatives come up from their occupational therapists that actually will come and meet with folks either in their home. They've come and helped folks in our nursing home as well, and done some education with our staff and help set up your physical environment to help with independence. There's all sorts of gadgets that they have that can help with, maintaining independence with the TV remote, maintaining independence with your stuff in your cupboards, maintaining independence with your telephone, all of those kinds of things. So that's one. The other organization along that lines that we've worked with a lot is the Deaf and Hard of Hearing Services. Lots of folks are hard of hearing later in age, but you wouldn't be learning sign language at 80 years old. You could learn sign language. Kelsey could sign you up for a class there. But most folks are just could potentially be struggling with that. So that's another organization where they come up, they have all sorts of gadgets, pocket talkers, things that alert you that your phone is ringing or there's someone at your door, or, a variety of different tools that way. And then one organization, Christy kind of touched on it, where there's a lot of resources out there where it's more of a statewide focus. And it can be hard to figure out what is available locally here. And so the Care Partners agingwell resources.org website is really great specifically for our local stuff. That being said, oftentimes we have to look outside of community. And so the senior linkage line is a phone number that I refer people to a lot. They help folks who are trying to get into assisted living. They help with just a variety of resources. across the state. So, you might be looking at, if you need to, for example, go into some sort of senior or assisted living and your daughter lives in Eden Prairie, I, Ilya, would not know even where I would be able to pull up on a website facilities that have that license, but I can't tell you what is a good facility, what different facilities offer. The Senior Linkage Line has a lot of resources specifically to the greater Minnesota. Typically what they do if you are calling them for Cook County resources is they'll refer you to County Public Health and Human Services. And then they end up kind of helping people navigate that. But those are kind of the three basic ones main ones that we use.
And I was thinking of the Senior Linkage Line too. I have their number pulled up if anyone wants to write it down. It's 800-333-2433. And they also have a really great service where they can take your medications and plug them into a computer and tell you which Part D plan, Medicare Part D plan is going to work best for you. So definitely would recommend reaching out to them.
If I could go a little bit beyond that, I have a friend who volunteered for a number of years for the Senior Linkage Line down the cities, and she was specially trained on Medicare plans.
Yeah.
And it went beyond Part D, although that's, so talking about senior linkage, they have volunteers who are specially trained on Medicare plans, including Part D, which is very important, but going beyond that. And I have a very good friend who worked with them for quite a while. And she said it was quite amazing how people would call in. And not because she was a genius, but because she had good training and other people to talk with, she could save them money sometimes or get them to a plan that had whatever they needed on the formulary or for pre-existing conditions, et cetera. So I can't say enough about that. That's extremely important.
I would say amen to that. I worked at the Senior Linkage Line myself, and that is an extraordinary, if there's anything, that is the most valuable thing I think that they do. And that's something you can do annually when it's renewal time. I know my mom included, and others I'm sure have thought this, is, I go through that with my agent every year. They look to see, but they're still just looking within their realm of things they sell. So the Senior Linkage Line doesn't get any money back by referring somebody to this one or that. They're looking at all of the plans out there. And they're able, like you said, to plug in and check to see what formularies, which is the list of medications that are covered on your Plan D or your Advantage plan or whatever it might be. It's really is extraordinary. They ask you really questions that you might not have thought of. Are you someone who still travels? Will you want coverage in different places outside of where you live? Well, how often would that be possible? They really ask thoughtful questions. Maybe you visit family in another state and spend a month there every year. What if you had a fall and you had to go in? How expensive would it be? So they ask you kind of thoughtful questions on matching you with, here's some plans that might be a good fit for you. And they are trained every year with the new changes that happen. Some of the people that are volunteers at the Senior Linkage Line are past insurance agents, so they have a really great knowledge base. It's a really extraordinary service that I would really recommend that folks reach out to annually when you do your renewal. See if anything, especially if something has changed in your own health needs or medications, for sure. You want to be sure to do that every year.
Well, I can tell you, I bet there's more questions in this crowd than we are going to get through today, even if we're not asking them out loud right this second.
Yeah.
So I would encourage people to talk with you all, right?
Right.
Giving you a call one-on-one or following up even today, they can just come up and walk and chat with you, right?
Perfectly. Also, I have to say that if you go to www.agingwellresources.org and you look down the page, there's a button that says regional resources. And so click on that and then you get some of these phone numbers like for Lighthouse and for Senior Linkage Line, Alzheimer's Association, all of those. So that's my shameless plug for that. I see that we are at 1:00. Again, I want to thank you all so much for your attendance and your attention, and to these amazing people that I get to stand next to. Over there. thank you all, and we hope to see you March 22nd at our lunch and learn about ageism and how to fight against that. Thank you very much.
Thank you.